What's going on, everybody? We are here with Master Crafted, and today we are going to be doing a little bit of a, post-data slate breakdown of where we think everything is going to fall after these most recent changes. We got Phil, of course, and we got Nick coming back on. How are you doing today, Nick?
Doing great. Can't complain.
Hell
Fun,
yeah.
fun day with the new changes.
Yeah, very hyped. Phil, how you doing? You pretty hyped? It seems like Lions was unscathed throughout all this.
Yeah, for some reason they still think Lions is in a perfectly respectable place, which I'm okay with. But yeah, I like it. I like the changes from the Dataslate. I like the changes to the MFM. I think there's a lot of things that shake up the meta here. And instead of us going through all of the changes, there's 100 videos out probably already now of people just rating them to you. We thought we would go over just the meta and what we think it's going to look like after it. Now, if you want to hear the sultry tones of me and Lane reading those things to you, we'll charge extra for that. But right now, we'll just talk about 40K and what the new meta is going to look like, and we're super excited for it.
Yep. Yeah, and so we're going to be using the exact same tier list that we had before. Instead of S tier, we have Master Crafted. The tier under that is Blessed by the Omnissiah. Then we have Touched by a Tech Priest, Big Mecha Gubbins, Hive World Scrap, and last but not least, Warp Tainted Junk. Let's go over real quick the things that were in the Warp Tainted Junk as of the last time around. It was Space Wolves, Black Templars, AdMech, and Imperial Agents. Do you guys think any of those are going to probably stay down there, or are the new changes and new codexes going to be enough to get them out of the Warp Tainted Junk?
2 of them are still going to be in there.
Space Wolves, obviously.
No, it's going to be Imperial Agents and Black Templar.
You don't think those points drops are enough?
Templar got some point cuts.
Yeah, is that enough, you think?
Probably not.
All right. Well, should we just go ahead and we'll just put them in here? Go ahead and just let them sit by themselves. We won't waste too much time. Imperial Agents, literally untouched. Didn't get a single thing, positive or negative. They just ignored it. It's just it's Harry Potter under the stairs. They don't even want to look at it. They pretend it doesn't exist. It's not in a good spot right now. Black Templars did get a little love. We'll make sure they're at least to the left at the top of their tier to show their dominance of that tier. If those two play, I'm betting on Black Templars every time.
Yeah, that's
but
fair.
Other than that, let's go ahead and we're just going to work through kind of where these are below. And up first is AdMech. All right, this was in Warp Tainted Junk. It did get a little love, and it has performed decently despite being down there. Just didn't get a lot of tournament wins or even X and ones.
Yeah, it's another board control army that has good spacing. They got a little bit of love with the ability to make their robots move a little bit faster. Overall, I do think it's better and it has some good tools. It is definitely not necessarily a strong army, but it has some great matchups and I like a lot of it. But if I look at the rest of these factions going down the list, I don't think AdMech is better than a lot of these. So for me, it's right above Warp Tainted Junk. It is Hive World Scrap. I don't see it going much higher.
I think there's play in teams. I think you can make some good skew lists with AdMech. Point cuts are pretty nice. But yeah, for singles, I think it's a little bit harder for them to get good records. You need to have a lot of these weird models too. It's not an easy army to put together and build and paint and collect.
Yeah, I would agree. I got to play against them in teams, and yeah, while it was a pain in the ass in Skitarii cohort to chew through all of those 2-wound models and stuff, it really wasn't something that I'm like, man, this is just gonna, run away with a lot of tournaments. It was just annoying more than anything. Up next, Nick, dagger to your heart. We got Eldar coming up next. Man, your poor sweet Ynnari. They are no longer the king of the meta, it looks like, anymore.
Yeah, probably not. They definitely hit lethal intent pretty good. They also hit some of the best, some of the key units that people were running in Ynnari. So Ynnari itself definitely got hit, which was kind of expected. I even said when they first released that rule that I don't even think that rule should have really even been printed. Just because it just caused a lot of issues, but it was fun while it lasted. It's going to definitely be tough to use now. I think Eldar is still good because of those battle focus tokens. Having 4 of those is 4 free CPs a turn. Like Nintendo Overwatch, Pile In, a lot of those abilities are literally stratagem worthy for other armies. So I think factions like, the detachments like Seer Council, Aspect Host probably has a little bit of play still, but people are definitely just going to start pivoting into those other detachments, and I think there's some play in some of those other detachments. Just everyone was just like primarily focused on Yunari because it was just the best one at the moment. I would keep them like, I think Eldar is going to be, I think it's still like Blessed by the Messiah. I don't know if it's going to be S tier now, the Master Crafted, but those battle focus tokens until they touch them, it's really strong having 4 of them every power round.
Yeah, I think a lot of Drukhari players are going to go back to their home and start repping
Yeah.
Reaper's Wager again, which will be nice. It's going to bring them up as well. But yeah, Eldar still got very good detachments. It's, again, like you were saying, people are now not going to be just spamming Yunari. They're going to have some variety in what detachments get played.
Yeah, I think there's quite a bit of play with the Ghost and the Webway detachment too. Very finessey and a high skill ceiling detachment, but some really good players have shown success with it. So, yeah, I think people are going to start branching out in Eldar Codex a bit.
Yeah.
I would put it under Blessed. I think Eldar is still good with those battle focus tokens, and they still have really good data sheets.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that. Phil, anything to add?
No, movement is the king in the meta right now. So if you have units that move well, do actions well, and can score well, yes, Eldar are made of tissue paper, but they do all the things that you need to do in the meta, and they do trade well, which is really important, right? Like they are one of the armies that can definitely punch up because they have a lot of access to dev wounds, to lethals, to rerolls, and they have that mobility to get around the board. So if we just look at from a purely scoring perspective, and if we've, Lane, you and I have talked about it, Nick, you and I have talked about it, of what this meta is going to look like with these new secondaries, the new primary missions, right? Like it is going to be about scoring, but there is a world where like you might want to score less, like, but you need to be in control of all that scoring, right? And to do that, you need units that can do that. So yeah, I think Eldar is going to be just
really
fine.
Quick segue about the scoring with them. Eldar Yunari was really good at scoring primary. Everyone knew that. That's what like separated it from other elf detachments. But now, I mean, Eldar just historically is just not the best at holding primary, which now is maybe not the end of the world if you give up primary for a turn or two in this new world where you get these challenger cards and you have all these like action monkeys that can go out and get these 3 or 4 VP really easily off the secondaries that you draw, or just abuse the free CP off them to leverage good board states. So it's gonna be really interesting. I still think they'll be up there.
All right, moving on. We got Blood Angels up next. And they saw, maybe some of the most extensive cuts when it came to costs of units. Sangard down like 20 points to 120, I'm pretty sure, for a 3-man. Like, that seems pretty damn cheap. Yeah, what are you guys' thoughts? Where are these going? Last time they were up, they were solidly at the top of Touched by a Tech Priest, and they were touched a little more because they got some heavy buffs, I think.
Something's got to compete with Astra Terminus, right? Yeah,
I
don't know
don't
what to say
understand
about
it.
that. I don't know why they got such a point cut. Yeah.
They're not like Black Templar. They weren't down bad where they were struggling so much that they need all this help. Like poor Black Templars at the bottom of this thing watching Blood Angels get pumped up with a whole bunch of points drops, and they're like, well, we just need some decent rules and you'd help us out, GW. And they're like, no, Blood Angels, that's who needs the help right now.
Well, I mean, to be fair, both got just point cuts, so
not the same amount of points
this
cuts.
is the,
like
yeah.
50% of the data sheets.
Yeah, extensive point cuts across the board. Do you think that it's going to be
seeing more of them
enough to launch them all the way up to Master Crafted? Or are they, I mean, they're definitely at least in Blessed by the Omnissiah. They're going to be solid with just how cheap everything got. I mean, they were already doing well, but
I think they were solid before, right? Yeah, they'd be pretty good.
Yeah, Blessed by the Omnissiah for sure. I think they're going to be right there with Eldari, right? Just in terms of, once again, their mobility, the tools that they have. They are still Space Marine bodies, but Sanguinary Guard or ICCs are still really good, as we have shown. And if you're running Liberator Assault Group, Advance in Charge is Advance in Charge. And that's really good on Blood Angels who want to be in combat.
Yeah, it is really good. I mean, do you guys, I'm tempted to say they might even end up above Eldar. I think just with how much speed they have, I think it's possible. Either way, I mean they're right there together regardless. Yeah. But
I think they're possible, but until I see it, like I think there's some like Eldari still have some tools that Blood Angels don't have.
Blood Angels beat Eldari. I don't think Eldari likes to go into Blood Angels. We're gonna just pair them to each other.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll leave it at that.
Tournaments, it's Eldari. Eldari's winning more tournaments than Blood Angels.
Probably.
Yeah. I would say that's fair. I think a lot of people are going to be building in a lot of anti melee stuff when possible, and just anti-marine is just a dime a dozen.
Well, yeah, I think that's going to suffer from people attacking against Death Guard and T-Suns and stuff, and that just means attacking against marine bodies, which they're probably like the most fragile of them, I would say. So, it's going to die pretty easily in the meta.
Yep. All right. Well, coming up next, we got Chaos Knights. Now, are we going to be talking about those spicy leaks that just dropped today, or are we going to talk about them as is, how they're looking for the next couple of weeks before that Codex drops?
Oh, it's all about the leaks, man.
It's all about the leaks. All right. Well, you guys have seen it. Where are we going with them? They were touched by a tech priest as well, being just a stat check army. Do they get much tougher now? I mean, there's 4 new detachments for Knights, and they all got some play. You can go at the dog spam. You can go with a couple different routes on running those bigs. I mean, there's some spice in there.
I have significant concerns about an army that doesn't have enough models to do the actions you need to do in the game. The only caveat to that is fixed secondaries in this new edition are going to be better. You will be able to do things like no prisoners. You will be able to do things like assassinate.
No, they said no more no prisoners.
Oh,
actually.
Yeah.
You can't. So that's actually a big, yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to have some fixed secondaries that are a little better. But the removal of no prisoners, thank you, Nick, might just put those bigs out of touch with like competing in the meta. Because if you don't take fixed, which you might have to plan to play around, what is your game plan? Because you can shoot and do actions, but you don't have the mobility or any of those things if you're running the big Knights. Now, from what I've been told from all our Chaos Knight friends, is they are incredibly lethal. Does incredibly lethal lead to winning games of 40k right now? Unfortunately,
sometimes.
Sometimes.
It depends on
I am confident.
Yeah, but no, you do have to score.
You do have to score. You have to do those things.
Yeah, they have that one detachment still, the Grotmus one, which lets them take in, 1,000 points of CSM trash, which is really good for scoring and doing all that stuff. So that one's actually I thought that one was pretty interesting beforehand. I'd have to look at some of the data sheets a bit closer to see how they all interact with that new detachment. But yeah, I mean, that one was if they need to score, I think that one still had play. You're not just spamming, you actually have small stuff on the board to play with.
Yeah, I mean, I do
demons.
think...
I think you can do demons plus those trash in that detachment. So you actually have you can really flex in that detachment.
Yeah, I know, one of the other big changes is you aren't taking 6 brigands and 6 carnivores anymore, unless it is in the dog specific detachment, because then they'll gain battle line. Other than that, you are max 3 for all data sheets again, which is
big, yeah.
I hope y'all magnetized your war dogs, because you aren't running 6 carnivores anytime soon, unless you're just sticking with the dog spam. Which
they all got weaker too, right? The small dogs at T9 and big bigs at T11 now. Yeah, so that's a big factor. Breakpoints are very different now.
Yep. Yeah. And then, one of the other things, as you were talking about, about allying stuff in, the nice thing is, I think it is a big boon. They did not get a demon specific detachment that they are allied in for. Instead, they are you can still ally them with all detachments. And I do think that is a big boon as a whole. And it did not end up like all the other chaos detachments or chaos codexes so far and have one that's the only one you can bring them in.
That gives them a little versatility for sure. So that's nice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of +1 to wound
right?
in the... Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot of +1 to wound floating around in the game all of a sudden that's been popping up, and losing blip of toughness into those specific breakpoints with the prevalence of +1 wound everywhere, it's it's going to be pretty easy to bring some of these dogs down now.
Yeah. Melt is on 3s now instead of 5s.
Yeah.
I guess down to 4s with +1 to wound. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They took a hit. I think the biggest thing, especially, is the toughest part is they also got rid of the go through walls for the dog detachment. I think that one probably should have stuck with the dog detachment specifically, but instead it ended up staying in the quote unquote index detachment. So I think that's one of the other things that really is going to hurt Chaos players is readjusting to, you're not going to be able to play with that even if you are playing all dog spam.
Yeah. We also have to see the points for these things because, we're talking about these nerfs to them, but we don't have the full points yet, and they could be really cheap, who knows? And they could be fielding a couple like bigs or whatever, they could be cheaper than expected.
Yeah, the supposed leaks, not to get into specifics, but everything does look like it is coming down due to the decrease in toughness. So I think Touched by a Tech Priest is more than fair. Just staying right there. Good stat check army. Yeah. All right. Up next we have Chaos Space Marines. And, they got a new detachment, but from what Nick tells me is it's not going to be edging out Bile anytime soon as far as being the top of the detachment list for them.
Yeah. I think Biles, Raiders are still the better detachments. This one's cute and fun and interesting to mess with. I just don't think it's going to be meta defining. So it's also interesting that CSM got another detachment when they already have so many in his other armies in the game that I'm just like, hey, get some help over here. GW's just throwing CSM another bone for whatever reason, but yeah.
Well,
But there is two things that got to glow up. There's two things that got to glow up.
Yes, for a CSM
the Disco
specifically,
Lord,
Vastor.
Yeah, Vastor and the Disco Lord. Those dudes are now so good, so freaking good that it's like CSM was already good, and now you're telling me you have more access to mortals. You have a 14-inch mounted unit that can go across and benefit the rest of your army. And Vastor is kind of a little good now.
Yeah,
what was it at before, Lane? What did we have CSM in before?
So they were in Blessed by the Omnissiah. They've still just been doing very well with, Bile. Bile didn't really get touched that much, if at all. I think they're probably just going to stay in Blessed, still very solid. And now just another option and way to play.
Yeah. All I'm going to say about CSM, Chaos Space Marines have been just sneakily getting buffs. All of us, every slate, I just feel like they're slowly getting buffs. Each of these cult codexes are coming out with new rules and new points for Rubric Marines, Berserkers, I can't even, Noise Marines. CSM's allowed to ally in those specific cult units, and they're all really good. Rubric Marine's 100 points now. CSM is just oh my god, 100-point Rubric Marine, that's amazing for them. They have access to Noise Marines, they get access to Berserkers with the Surge moves, they get, I guess, a new Plague Marine, so the weird one, because I guess a T6 Plague Marines is definitely something, but they get all these cool new cult units, and then on top of that, Nurglings, which every single CSM list was taking one unit of Nurglings, because you have to have an infiltrator. They don't have access to infiltrate outside of Nurglings, literally, unless you play one detachment with whatever that one detachment for the Legionnaires getting infiltrate and stuff. Nurglings have the 5 win roll now, so it just made their one infiltrate unit slightly better that they were always taking anyway. And then you said Vastor is actually pretty good. Honestly, contemplating throwing him into most of my list just because he's good. There's almost he's just low enough and just has good rules now. And Disco Lord's even pretty good. Yeah, so I think CSM's definitely blessed. They just slowly keep getting these slight little buffs on the side that people are not really paying attention to, but they have play, dude. As CSM is really, anyone that says CSM is bad is crazy.
I think they're above Eldari and Blood Angels.
Yes, I think that.
Fair.
I think CSM's pretty good. Yeah, I think they're
I think they're
really
knocking on the door of Mastercrafted for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Up next, it won't take hardly any discussion. They were Mastercrafted last time. There's no way they're not Mastercrafted this time. The proof is now here. We were right. Lions of the Emperor is disgusting. Who would have thought +1 to hit and wound is just real solid. Especially re-racking all of your character abilities that are busted. Yeah. Any other thing we need to cover for Augusta? Their Terminators got fucking cheaper. Oh damn! What a rough life.
Yeah, I think they're good. They're pretty.
No, I think we're okay. Yeah, right. I think we're okay.
Perfect. Chaos Demons. They did take some points hits to the enhancements for Shadow Legion. Other than that, not a ton of changes. Pretty much just running the same stuff. They were in Blessed by the Omnissiah. Do they end up moving too much?
I was gonna say some interesting changes. Soul grinders are pretty good, and GW just did this interesting thing with the slate. Now in the app, under the unit composition, you can see the required base size for whatever model unit it is, and now it says for soul grinders and that you need 160 mil base for them, which is a wild size of a base. That's a wild base size, and they were like soul grinders were used in some of the top incursion lists. Our teammate Brett had very good success with the soul grinder and Shadow Legion. So that's just an interesting like side thing to note for them, because that was definitely a unit that was seeing play, and people were really like stoked about how you can like maneuver them around the field. And now it's not. You're not putting these things on the field with 160 mil base. So I'm interested to see how TOs and like tournaments go about this now that it's in the app, and if it's going to be enforced, it's going to be pretty interesting because this is like super new. It just happened today.
Yeah, I think it's still just strong. Those little bit of nerfs to, you know, everybody's favorite bloodthirster that just disappears. It's gonna affect a little bit of the trash you take. I think it's still very solid.
Yeah, you take what? Yeah, you swap something out for a Nurgling unit or something, which is we know Nurglings are good.
Which,
so cool.
Speaking of, the 54 Nurgling horde is officially dead. You got max size is now 6 instead of 9 for Nurglings. But they are invuln 5 up now, so you know they have twice the chance to save.
I wouldn't say it's dead. Yeah, I was gonna say it's less of them, but more durable of them. So.
Yep, I think that's more than fair. We'll keep it moving though. Dark Angels, you know, I think somebody said to me they now have access to as many detachments as Votann has character sheets.
Perfect.
So that's pretty cool.
Moving up in the world.
Moving up in the world, just all the options. What else could you ask for besides, you know, the lion getting better? You know, that's always great. I didn't get a chance to really deep dive that detachment yet. What is going on with it? How are they doing?
I think it's pretty much a culmination of like all the other like the good parts of the other detachments in this one. I didn't look too deep. I think it's got like all the good parts of the other ones from what I hear combined. So I think most people will be running this new detachment for them.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few things that stand out, and one of the most important ones is they have the ability to double oath after they kill something. So after they kill something, they have a strat to oath another target, which is huge for a detachment that, like, now they're just giving double oath to freaking everybody. So
yeah, CSM has it in vets. Yeah.
Dark Angels is going to be good. It's going to be very good. It's going to be better than Shadow Legion Demons. It is definitely in that Blessed by the Omnissiah tier. We are talking about Deathwing Knights that are incredibly durable. The Lion just got straight up better. Like, he is just straight up better. And I don't see how you don't take him with some Plasma Inceptors or some strats in there to get some extra damage. It is very, very, very good.
Hell yeah. Look at them rising back to the top. They were all the way down in Big Mech Gubbins. I do think Blessed by the Omnissiah, from just the little I've heard, sounds more than fair for what that is going to be doing. Definitely. Whew, that's some spice. All right, you dirty bastards. Death Guard is up next. Where, oh where could these assholes fall besides probably the top army in the meta? Not a single real points nerf or change. They got worse, yeah. No more 6-inch rapid ingress. You poor bastards. How will you ever survive? Heavy blight launchers, exact same price. Yep, still probably seeing 3 of those in every list. Yeah, 2x3 Death Shroud at a minimum, every single list. It's a rough time out there for the Death Guard, just spreading their contagion around and making everybody sad to play them.
I thought for sure we were going to see something, but the fact that we saw nothing means they, like, yes, okay, them not being able to rapid ingress, that's a big deal. But it doesn't actually affect much. Me still being able to rapid ingress and then move 5 inches, which means I have a 4-inch charge into whatever it is I need to go into, perfectly fine.
Still completely
and then
fine.
6-inch deep striking normal, and then you give me a 6-inch charge. I'll take 6-inch charges all week if it's into something I need to go into.
Yeah.
It's really good still.
Still solid, still undercosted. Sounds great.
Yeah. I think they're just taking the Inari approach and just letting it ride out for a bit before they just like hit it real hard because it just came out. So just like, gauging it for a little while. I don't know if it's going to be like next slate that it gets touched, because that'll be a little while, but yeah, we'll see.
I mean, I feel like we got to at least like mid-July at the latest. It's going to have to get touched by then. Like, even if there's not a slate, they're going to have to be like, all right, you were hitting me with the stats, Phil. How did Death Guard do this last weekend? What were the stats on their Meta Watch Monday bullshit? Pretty sure you said 12 X and O, X and 1s.
Yes, 12 X and O, X and 1s, which is a little obnoxious, and then 4 event wins and a 58% win rate.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. You know, we'll see. We'll see how long that lasts. Okay. All right. Enough ranting about the DG. Up next, we got Death Watch. All right. Not seeing a ton of play, but still solid. Still solid.
Yeah, they're a good army. And unfortunately, right now, they're probably getting surpassed a little bit by some of the other armies in the game, but they haven't seen any changes to points that have affected their play. They're still a good detachment. I run them myself, and I really enjoy them. So I definitely think, I think the CSM, like the new CSM, probably passes them, if I'm honest. Like Renegade Raiders and Bile and all those are probably just like a touch better. And that top of the meta is it's starting to separate itself, I think, a little bit from everyone else. Not in a crazy way. Like, there is play into Custodes for sure, absolutely. Is there play into Death Guard? Sometimes. But yeah, I think it's very, very good still.
Yeah, it's a good army. It's got Fricks, really good damage output.
Just no representation. Get off your Golden Boys and your Death Guard, Phil, and get some fucking wins for the faction already. This is your fault.
Your team captain would let him play SM.
All right. This is all for you though, Nicholas. We got Drukhari up next. You know, probably pivoting back to your roots after Ynnari got the bonk. Where do you think they're falling?
Yeah, so I think Drukhari, I think they were blessed before. I think they're a good army in the right hands. It's not an easy army to just pick up and play, but Cody Jiru and Scurry have this entire time have been consistently putting up great performances with it every time they go to events. And they've been rocking Reaper's Wager with really good success. Scurry just started like running it recently, and he was running Sky Splinter before with good success. Cody hasn't stopped running Reapers, and he just slapped at a team event, and he's been doing really good in the singles. And Reapers just got buffed, like the Dataslate a little bit, which is awesome. I guess I can really quickly say it. The new detachment rule is if you're losing the wager, you get to reroll ones to hit on both sides, hitting and to hit and to wound. And now the opposite is if you're winning, you still get to keep reroll ones to hit, which is awesome. You used to not have a buff on the winning side, so your whole army is pretty juiced at all times now, which is really nice and helps with pain token economy. It helps with the Harley units after they kill something. They're still getting a buff afterwards. So I think they're blessed. Really good army in the right hands. It's not like an S tier army, but it's also not an easy army, but it's got good tools. And they got some point cuts too. So it's like it's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, so it might surprise you to know, but it was Hive World scrap the last time we did a data slate.
I think I vaguely remember that, and I thought that was a very hot take.
Well, so that was the thing is when we do these tier lists, it's how frequently do you think they're going to win?
Exactly.
And
and it's not popular.
And Scary are going to be switching off, but they were troopers, Nick, unlike you.
Yeah,
they stuck with it. All right.
I've always been Yinkarn has always been like I've always had like and Yivrain. There's always a place in my heart for those two models. So,
but besides those two players, who else was going to be bringing home wins for that faction?
It's true, but I do think the rules are good. Like pain tokens are full. That's fair. Fine, we can put it at one lower. That's fair. Drukhari have good army rules. You just have to get reps with them and figure out how to play them. It's a niche army.
Yeah,
it's definitely a niche army for sure.
Probably one of the highest skill expression armies in the entire edition is just Drukhari.
Yeah.
All right.
Really fun.
Phil, are you where do you think they fall? You know, I'm just dropping them in the touched. We're getting a little full in the blessed up here.
I know, but I think it's a good thing the more armies that you have close together. I will say someone who's been bad touched by Cody, who's been bad touched by Nick, like both with Drukhari and Ynnari, like I do know what it's like to be in the hands of a good player. And Nick is absolutely right. In the hands of a good player, it is very, very good. I think it's above Chaos Knights because I think it's going to score better than the majority of Chaos Knights players. And then with what the new meta looks like, especially with these new secondaries, I think it's just going to do better. And I think the majority of players will struggle with this. The good players, like Lane, like you said, the skill expression is so high, but the odds of you going, like you watching us right now, going X and O, X and 1 without enough practice and just like taking this off the shelf like you would any other army, you're going to have a very hard time playing this army, I think is fair. So Touched by a Tech Priest I think is perfectly fair. It's going to be better than most, but it is going to be hard. It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Going back to where you were about 6 months ago, Phil, you were rocking the Gene Stealers. They were in S tier last time we talked about them. You haven't really played with them much, but, final day getting a sneaky buff with these new Tyranid changes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm running them. Final day is already good, in my opinion. I've run it to success. If you want to check, you can look at my BCP. I have taken them often, and I've done well with them, and I've really enjoyed it. I took them to LVO. I took Final Day to LVO. I liked them so much, and they only got better. So 2 things that changed that I think are significant. The Pure Strains going down to 2 resurrection points, especially in Final Day, super important. Also on top of that, Bikes going down to 2, that is beneficial, not necessarily for Final Day, but getting Raveners that got a buff, and especially a character Ravener unit. So for those that don't know, we have a strat that says if you kill a character unit, I get +1 to hit, +1 to wound against the target that killed it for the rest of the game. Well, before I was only running a Death Leaper. That was my only character. It was pretty easy to get around, but now you're telling me I can have a Rapid Ingress for free unit that I can stack with another Rapid Ingress to push my opponent, and then if you do kill it, which they're not incredibly tough, Raveners aren't crazy to kill, but when you kill it and I get +1 to hit, +1 to wound against whatever it is that you killed it with, that is another thing that I have access to. And I already have 3 lists that I'm ready to run for Final Day because I already like the Detachment, and this only makes it better.
Yeah, so if this doesn't confirm it, I don't know what will. That Phil is just a slut for things that have +1 to hit, +1 to wound. But between the Stones and GSC, oh man, anywhere he can get it, he will take it. I do agree, though, GSC going to be pretty damn solid. Final Day and others. Just getting cheaper Resurgence points is so helpful, regardless of Detachment. So
yeah, Biosanctic loves it for going down for Pure Strains. The Outlander Claw loves the Bikes going down to 2 because that is a lot easier to manage. And then Host of Ascension is already a good detachment as it is. Innis has shown it multiple times. We have a few individuals in the community that for some reason want to run 120 neophytes. And go ahead, I couldn't do it, but that's what you want to do. And it is a very good detachment that scores incredibly well and is very, very lethal. So yeah, it's very good.
All right, up next, we got the Grey Knights. They got some stuff coming this year, but it hasn't dropped yet. How are they faring in this new meta?
They're going to struggle. They're going to struggle a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit.
They were in Touched by a Tech Priest. Do we think they're still doing that well? Or do you think there's just enough things that are just so good right now that they just can't quite hang?
I think there's a lot of speed in the game, right? Yeah. Speed in the game right now to catch them. I think that's an issue for them.
Yeah. Their 10-man Terminators got way cheaper, so for the Detachment nobody plays, that's pretty helpful. If you're still teleporting around, you can take the 10-man bricks, throw some of those characters back in there. It's cheaper, I guess. I don't know. I don't think we have seen Grey Knights really performing and winning a bunch of tournaments, or even going X and O, X and 1. They've just been kind of struggling. I think last time they were the bottom of Touched by a Tech Priest. I think there's just so many things that are at the top right now that are really, really doing well that I think they've got to be one of the ones we just kind of tap on the head and say, maybe next time. You're still not bad. They're just compared to
I don't think they're bad. I think the meta is just warping around them, so that's just the issue. They haven't really been changing much.
All right, Imperial Knights, talk about something that has been bullying the meta pretty consistently. They've been putting up on average 1 to 2 event wins a week.
Yeah, they've been very strong.
Are you guys thinking maybe they're still down in Touched by a Tech Priest, or have they been doing well enough? Have they earned it that they're going to be here, or I mean, we've seen the changes, dropping to T11 instead of T12. Is that enough to push them down?
Well, the rumor is
So-
also getting 4 pinroll on some of those big ones, right?
Against shooting.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so like that's like the trade-off, right? You know, they make more saves, but they take more wounds.
Yeah. Imperial Knights are probably still they're probably blessed by the Omnissiah because one, they have better allies, which I believe are the sisters, right? Because they get access to Sticky, which one of the new Chaos Knight detachments does give you access to Sticky at OC5, which is really interesting. But
For a CP.
access to for CP. When you get access to sisters, strip cover, you're already efficient enough in shooting. Imperial Knights were already running big knights anyways, right? They were running like double lancers or Canis or whatever else. Like they were already doing that. So you forcing them into it isn't necessarily the end of the world. And I still think they're up there. Now, the problem is they got some boogeymen that are above them that really just love to pick on them. But I think right below Chaos Demons is fair. They might be even a little bit above it with the knocks down for Chaos Demons for what they lost, but I think that's okay.
Yeah. All right. Nice and close to home. Astra Militarum. We were in Touched by a Tech Priest last time. I think we're definitely still above these two.
Really?
How dare you? How dare you? No.
Bring it on. Hopefully, guard players, Bulgrin going down 20 points for a six man, they will start running them again. Maybe we will get our fucking win rate off the floor. But, I mean, Hammer and Combined, they've still been putting up consistent wins. They've put up wins more frequently than Chaos Knights.
Yeah.
And
I
even
was just joking. I think guard is still really good. They just field a lot of stuff. Yeah, guard is actually like solid for sure.
Yeah, I think more and more people, I've been watching a couple of the other guard channels, more people are realizing, stop doing all this flavorful crap, go back to the index where you can do damage with your lethals, and
Combined is good.
Yeah. But we'll see. I do definitely think these other armies just more consistently that are above it probably, have just better across the board matchups and will win more often just because of how oppressive they can be. But yeah, I think guard is still a solid army for sure.
Okay. All right.
Necrons up next. Now they had some increases and some decreases. We were looking at our other buddy Nick's list for Necrons, and it didn't change a point and like almost everything changed points, and it stayed like the exact same. So do they stay the same? Last time they were in Big Mech Gubbins. Do they come up, or are they just suffering from everything else just being too killy to really get to reanimate?
I think they're fine. Even the red hands Necrons are good.
Yeah, they're probably above Grey Knights, right? Because they have a few more tools. They're a little more efficient, but man, I don't think they're good enough to beat Drukhari consistently or Astra Militarum consistently. I think they're a good army, and they're going to consistently go like 3-3. Like they're going to get to the top tables, and they're not getting past like Death Guard and Custodes and like some of these other ones that we're about to hit. They ain't going to do it, but they're going to do okay. They're going to do average.
Yeah, you can definitely still 4-2 pretty well if you are a faction expert and or higher, obviously. But just in general, it's going to be hard to be picking up tournament wins with Necrons right now, I feel like.
I think you can have pretty good success with them in teams, though.
Oh, yeah.
You can definitely skew pretty hard in teams, and there's some factions that just won't be able to deal with that type of a step check.
Yeah. All right. Up next, we have Orks. They were the top thing of the meta, thanks to more DACA the last time we did this, but that has been given the bonk. Now we have Speed Freaks, obviously going to they got to be like master crafted, right? Speed Freaks? Fall back and shoot and charge? I mean, come on.
Bases are too big, and they don't have the capabilities to like
go through walls.
The data sheets, no capabilities to go through walls. The data sheets still struggle. But Warhorde is still good. Green Tide is still good.
Warhorde is really good. Yeah, exactly. I think Orks still are good.
Yeah, I think they're above Astra Militarum. I think they're in the like blessed by the Omnissiah tier.
You think is it still good enough with Warhorde? I mean, Warhorde is still definitely very good.
Yeah, I think Warhorde is really good in the right hands. Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
And I mean, there's a lot of melee going around. Having fight on death doesn't hurt at all. Yeah, very, very good. All right.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly low. Did they only change the points on trucks, or did they change the firing deck?
Only the points. For some reason,
Okay, yeah,
you can
then
still
they can
shoot
stay
your
where it
entire
is. Yeah,
flash gate unit.
there you go. If they would have changed that, then maybe we lowered a little, but I think they're fine with it.
So dumb. All right. Adeptus Sororitas. They got some of the biggest buffs of the data slate, getting all the dice back from every time a unit dies. Definitely doesn't hurt. They also saw a couple of rules changes, which are going to make your canonesses actually slap now when they charge in. Yeah. How are they looking? Last time they were in the bottom of Hive World Scrap.
They're not anymore. They are. They are not anymore. They got the glow up that they needed. They were already starting to creep up a little bit. I actually put them. I think they're in Blessed by the Omnissiah. I think they're right below Blood Angels.
Right below Blood Angels. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
I think they're going to be that good.
All right. Okay.
Nick, what do you think?
I guess they're getting what, the miracle dice? Because you capped at how many you can use now per turn, right? Or even though they're getting all of them back, you still only can use so many.
Yes,
I still
that is
believe...
correct. But
go ahead.
No, you're good. Go.
I was gonna agree. I think it is just the same cap as before.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. The meta's getting pretty killy right now, and they're pretty easy to kill. So, yeah, I have to just we'll have to see how that plays out.
Everything got pretty much
definitely
all the stuff got cheaper though. Zephyrim got better.
More things to
Retributor
feel.
squads got better. Yeah, like I just think they're gonna be so much better.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. All right. Space Marines. The Ultra build took a little bit of a hit. You can't take Calgar and Gilliman to spam that CP. But hey, what if they just both got like way cheaper? What if you could just like definitely afford a whole nother unit thanks to those changes? Would that be cool?
It didn't change. Nothing changed. They're still good.
Well, they're good. Obviously, they're good. Arguably too
Brother,
good.
it just means they end the game with 4 CP now instead of 8. Nothing changed there.
I think they've got to be master crafted, dude. They're still so goddamn good. They were the top of Blessed by the Omnissiah last time, but I mean, hot damn, are they? They're a problem. The damage output is.
And with the way the new mission deck works, they're going to be able to like throw away. They're going to be able to hold cards into the opponent's turn because they already got CP from whatever happened, and it's going to be able to edge the scoring system really hard. I think really good players are going to be able to edge the scoring system really hard. And people thought Overwatch was going to get nerfed, which was like a big Oath was the big Overwatch issue when the whole army just could reroll an Overwatch into something. It's like, okay, they can still do this and hold no prisoners or something, or bring it down and at no risk, and then throw it away at the opponent's turn. I actually think they're better than before, to be honest.
Yeah. Yep. Solid.
I don't think it changed anything. Yeah, silly.
All right. Up next, we got Space Wolves. We haven't really got to see them perform in a tournament quite yet. The Codex did just drop this last week, I believe. And yeah, looking like there's some spice in there for sure. But again, it looks like melee armies, you still just run Stormlance. Why run the Codex when you could run Stormlance or take some shooting and be in Gladius, The Beast Slayer one looks good, but in general, I mean, they're just
the units
solid.
and data sheets are really good. I think Space Wolves, I mean, are we judging them off the data sheets or like the Codex detachments?
Everything.
Okay, because I think Space Wolves are going to be good with Stormlance and Gladius. I think those two detachments with Space Wolf units are going to be really scary.
Yeah, Bjorn is still good. Murderfang is still good. They're included. Like Thunderwolf Cav got better. Yep. Brother, I don't know how these guys aren't in A tier. At least.
Yeah,
at minimum.
At least. Yeah, I actually think they might even be pushing low key at Mastercrafted, but we have to see when they release. But for sure, Space Wolves.
Yeah. Yeah, so put them above Deathwatch.
Above Deathwatch. You don't think they're better than CSM though?
Not until I see them compete in a tournament. Everything says they're good. The detachments say they're good. The data sheets say they're good. Everything else says they're good. But them and CSM are knocking on the door for Mastercrafted right now, and I would not surprise me.
Yeah. I mean, those are all very, very solid still. Yeah, it's just gonna have to wait for it to hit the tabletop. I am not stoked about flat damage 3 on Thunderwolf Cav. I'll tell you that right now. But still 2 swings to kill a Bulgarin, so we take those. Tau Empire. All right. They got a little bit of a change. You now just have observer units, and you just have to mark with one thing, if I'm not mistaken. So that does help your economy on units, not having to be marking every single thing you want to target for the turn. Yeah, they were top of Big Mech Gubbins for some reason, and we really overestimated them this last time. They've had a rough couple months, to be totally fair.
Well, everything is past them in terms of lethality. Everyone has gotten better, and they have just either stayed the same and gotten worse. And we have, I'll say it again, we have two of the best Tau players in our community, John Kilcommons and Matt Morrell. And they both have stated they will not go back to it, like unless there's some significant changes, and this is not enough. So yes, I think it's better than AdMech. It's got some tools, Recruit Hunting Pack, and a whole bunch of gorillas running around out there is awesome. Auxiliary Cadre is a pain in the butt in some matchups, but as you said, Lane, this is getting to be a combat-focused meta right now. And 18-inch loadout means nothing if they're up in your face dealing dev wounds and doing damage and killing all your stuff, and you have no way to fight them back convincingly.
Yeah, I think they are better. This did help some, but just where the meta is at as a whole, I do not see them being able to still win tournaments very easily. And that's how this is structured. They're still decent as an army. They are better than they were, but it's going to be tough. All right. Up next, we got the Tyranids. They are rocking a new detachment that is all about burrowing and blipping across the board. No longer uppy-downy, it's downy-uppy. And they are probably trending uppy after these changes. What do you think, Nick?
Honestly, yeah. Like, I think that new detachment's really good. Not like you said, they can move around the board with really good mobility because they're just like 6-inching, popping up in front of you, and they can charge after it, which is crazy. And then on top of that, the other part of the detachment rule is just flat reroll once to hit on everything at all times. No caveats. Why not? Great. So it's just a good detachment. It's just overall a solid detachment. Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to open up data sheets that people don't normally use that struggle to move around the board with big bases that don't have enough movement, because now you can just, it's like incursion demons almost. Like people struggle to run blood crushers, but they love them in incursion demons because you just pop them up 6 inches in front of the enemy and charge. Or big demons, similar concepts. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to, well, one of my friends plays Tyranids, and he's really, really excited to test this out.
Yeah, I do think the counterplay of being able to just moving within 3 to get rid of it, like it is going to fall prey to armies that have just a big board presence and can screen effectively. I do think it might be a little tough there, but in general, I think Tyranids have been looking for a breath of life from somewhere, and I think definitely it still.
It's also extremely flavorful at the minimum, if anything, which is always really cool for detachment.
Yep. All right, Phil, where are the new NIDs falling for you?
Okay, this is going to be a hot take, but I think they're in Mastercrafted. I think new NIDs with this are the bottom of Mastercrafted, but they being able to, like, as someone who has just played Death Guard, multiple times with the new detachment, being able to 6-inch away from you and then charge with something can be game breaking.
Yeah,
and
this is not just like a Terminator unit. This is anything in their army. Any data sheet for a Tyranid. There's no, I don't even think Titanic. Like, if you could fit a Titanic thing in there, there's no caveat. It literally just says bring a 6-inch thing out.
Rupture effects and charge. Bringing, classic.
Yeah, exactly. Zone thropes. You're bringing pyrovores.
Exactly.
You're bringing
great angles.
Like old. Yeah, it's just like this is going to be. I'm not going to say like easy to run, but it is going to be something that is very can be very oppressive. It's going to be very good.
Nothing like 6-inch Norn right onto an objective. Who
literally
doesn't fucking love that bullshit? Yeah.
Yep. They might even choose your home objective with the Norns now.
I mean, that's going to be, if you can pull that off, that's impressive. If you as an opponent are not screening out to make sure they can't get within 9 to get within 6 of your home, it's just already over anyway.
Yeah, but let's say they go in with Raveners or they rapid ingress or something like that, and then now they chew up whatever you have in your backfield, right? And now that blip comes up in your backfield, and if you don't go deal with that blip right now, it's dropping a Norn on your home.
It's just so risky. There's no way.
I was kidding about that play, but I'm just saying they're going to be all over the place.
If you that's like Babe Ruth just pointing for the home run, right? I'm putting a Norn on your home point, motherfucker. You be ready for it. Try to stop me. Nothing you can do about it. That's like one of the most baller moves you could pull. And if you pull it off, your opponent's just like, well, of course you
Well,
would.
yeah,
Why
game's over.
wouldn't you? And it's like linchpin. You're just even on that one. Scorched Earth. I'm taking your home point. Insanity.
Yeah, but Old One Eye is like a really interesting unit because I think they actually have a surge move and stuff. So getting that
Yeah.
unit deep into the enemy's line is like very, very interesting.
All right. Well, Tyranids, the hot take. It is going to be mastercrafted. Up next, we have Leagues of Votann. They only really had some minor changes to how their transports work with some of those extra little mechs or whatever you want to call them that run around with some of the characters. They were in Hive World Scrap. People have done well. There have been a couple of wins with them in the past couple months, but overall, not a ton. They're just like middle of the package.
I would
Yeah,
put them in Big Mac Gubbins, I think. Yeah,
I would
think
as
they're,
well.
like,
Yeah,
solid.
and I think they're above Necrons and Grey Knights. Honestly.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I think they're like not bad at all. And their right hands are pretty good. They even have like solid team play presence. Like that's they'll very much use in teams. So I think they're like right around there for sure.
Yeah, same old Votann. Sweet. All right, World Eaters. Now they have gotten a new codex, at least since the last time they were on. They were in Big Mech Gubbins before. Where are they falling now?
I'm a huge fan of this new codex personally. I think they're like, I actually think they're around mastercrafted. I don't know if everyone's going to be able to pull off really, really good success with them, but yeah, maybe even like right under mastercrafted and like the top of blessed because yeah, I think they're really good right now. They have a lot of play. Warband,
I think
Berserker
they're-
Warband, and the Demonkin are both like spice.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're in Mastercraft as well. I think they're like at the Gladius level Space Marines because like they go into the top of the meta really well. They go into Custodes well. They go into Gladius Space Marines well. They go into GSC well. Like they're gonna deal with a lot of these top tier armies convincingly. So yeah, you don't have to sell me on that. World Leaders, I'm all about it.
Okay. Yeah, 6-inch pile in and consolidate is a hell of a drug, despite what Reddit might say. They are not
Yeah.
garbage. You know,
That's their new identity. Used to be Advance and Charge, now it's 6-inch pile and consolidate. Yeah.
pretty damn solid. And 8-inch guaranteed blood surge is very spicy.
Have you ever seen a Hellbrute kill 3 dogs? I have. I watched it happen. I watched Colin K pinball one of my teammates just march his Hellbrute down the field and just kill three dogs. And I was like, that's not good. Yeah,
Pretty
that was something
spicy.
else.
Yeah. And that was a 0 Forge Fiend list. You know, everybody says you have to take your Forge Fiends. You do not have to. The amount of melee pressure you can apply with some of these things, hot damn. Yeah.
Yeah, World Leaders are pretty good. Yeah.
All right. The other 2 Chaos factions are all we got left. Up first, we have Emperor's Children. You know, still just such a wide range of models to choose from. Very solid. You know, they saw a couple nerfs. And, you know, Fulgrim did come down, though.
Yeah, but all the flying princes went up. And that was the reason that they were able to be effective as they were, right? Was because they could run 3 flying princes and 3 units of noise marines and the 3 infractors and like all that stuff. And they don't have the points to do that anymore.
I will say the Carnival Detachment is pretty good, and I don't think people are giving it enough credit. I have a friend that's been having good success with it, and I think some people like Liam VSL, he's obviously like one of the best players in the world, but he had really good success with Carnivals, and Carnival lists barely got touched point-wise. So, I don't know, I think there's some play there with that. I just think people have really been dialing in Coterie because obviously it's so good.
Yeah. I think based off of the nerfs and everything, I think it's still very good. I think it's got a lot of skill expression. I think it's one of those things, it's like Drukhari, where it's going to have people who can still dominate with it, but it's going to have a lot of people who can't. It seems very, very technical to play any of the EC right now. And if you are just losing pieces, you just start falling behind and it feels bad.
I think that's
I
fair.
agree. Yeah.
Do we think where in touched by a tech priest would you guys
I would put it just around where Drukhari is. Before or
Right
after,
below
just around that
Drukhari,
spot.
I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And last but not least, the old Thousand Suns. New codex. I haven't seen much play out of it, but there's definitely been some hype. People think it's got some strong rules. Yeah. Where is this gonna fall?
I think it's Mastercrafted tier.
Master crafted tier. And just how far up or down on the master crafted tier do you think Thousand Suns are gonna be?
I think it's right below World Eaters, or at that level. I think it's above GSC, the Flamers, and everything like that. If we just talk about like what's good into the meta right now, mobility is key. Well, this army can move twice, with the unit. It's got good access to Tzeentch Demons. It also has good access to these things called Zangors, which, believe it or not, in a detachment are awfully good as much as I hate it. I hate it. Yeah, I just... They have good data sheets they have access to. They have good vehicles. The Predators are better. Like, the characters are good. Your Rubric Marines are awesome. The Zangors are great. Like, the Zangors themselves, being able to up you down and, like, get +1 to wound and access to, like, invols. It's just, it does everything you would want.
The Warp Meld is pretty dang spicy, for sure. And just in general, I feel like all of the different detachments have some play within Thousand Suns. The ability to deep strike 20 goats and then shove them another 6 inches into your opponent's face is probably not going to be sticking around for very long, if I had to guess. But, we'll see. In general, though, Grand Coven, the Rubrique detachment, very, very solid. And then even the vehicle-based one, there's definitely some hype around that. I think Thousand Suns are just in a very good and flexible spot, and the data sheets all have some good rules.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is a top-heavy meta breakdown.
Yeah, do we feel like we should be shuffling it down a little bit here? Is that too many things that are master crafted?
No, I'm pretty happy with that. I would say Space Wolves and CSM, I would not be upset to see either of them break the top of the meta. Maybe even Dark Angels. I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely some questions to be answered. We have a lot of new data sheets and detachments now, 3 more detachments that are really going to have to prove themselves. But yeah, there is some spice in the meta. A lot of things are just solid. And, even some of these other things that are down here, Big Mech Gubbins, I think is kind of where it really is the biggest drop off is after Big Mech Gubbins, I think. To these last 2 categories where you're just like, they're still not unplayable by any means, but it's a struggle right now on these to really feel like you can win the majority of your games.
Yeah, definitely a hard time. Okay, well, I really appreciated that, Nick. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know it's a labor of love talking about 40K, but we are in a very interesting meta, and it's about to get like everything thrown up in the air. I know the mission pack, ours comes out on Saturday, so I already have a pre-order in at our local game store that I'm going to run down and grab the new pack, and we're going to run new missions, and we're going to see where we're at.
Yeah, it's
going to be a fun time.
It's going to be great. Can't wait. We are going to be doing a, kind of a mission pack review, what you should be teching into your lists to deal with some of these new secondaries and the way it will play, how the challenger cards are all going to work. Just kind of some things to keep in mind. Also, we're going to be doing some new kind of like, instead of just reviewing these new detachments, we're going to be doing little videos of kind of like a mock list, kind of a great base for where to start with on these new detachments and what you should be running with them. And yeah, lots more content on the way. We're getting closer and closer every day to having some stream games, or at least, battle reports that are at least filmed. So more and more is on the way here for Mastercrafted. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Phil, any final thoughts?
No, really appreciate you guys tuning in.
Alrighty. Well, do not forget that victory isn't given, it's forged, and it's forged right here on Mastercrafted. We will see you all next time.